Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets, with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Maybe my most anticipated episode of the Dogs Podcast in a very long time. Definitely since before last season, that's for sure, because my vigor for the podcast and the Browns in general went down each week starting week 1 last year. So very excited to do this episode. I know Josh gave you guys some opinions on the draft. I'm excited to get all of our opinions, dive into it a little bit more. A lot of good stuff, a lot of intriguing stuff to get into about the players we picked and just kind of the outlook on the season as a whole now. I can't wait to get into all of it. Before we do, though, remember, if you want to get your thoughts and your intros on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail on the drop-down menu. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of the new content we're putting out. We're nearing another milestone. We're almost to 11K followers. I just got the notification on like a Facebook memory. Was it yesterday or the day before where we hit 1,000 4 years ago? It was at our draft party.
I think it was
before our draft party, we had 1,000. So we've 10x'd in the last 4 years, which is pretty cool. And that's all because of you guys. So we appreciate everybody who has followed already. And again, if you haven't, make sure you follow, make sure the notification bell's tapped so you don't miss any of the content that we're putting out between now and the season. It's going to be good stuff. If you prefer to just listen to the show, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google. You can also find us on all the major social media platforms. Just search at the Dogs Podcast. We may also be live on TikTok for the first time ever right now. Hey, we are. This is our first ever TikTok live, popping our cherry here on TikTok.
Hello, TikTok.
Hello, TikTok. If you're watching, it says Blake B. Reneker joined. So far, I might be the only person watching.
Well, that's good. Thank you for doing that for us.
But we're going to try this out too. So we're live. Where are we all live right now, Josh?
YouTube, Facebook, X, and TikTok.
All over the world.
All over the place, baby.
We're literally everywhere. So we appreciate everybody who's watching on every single platform. If you want to interact with the show, make sure you jump into YouTube. That's the easiest place. We got a big screen with all the comments up here. The other places, I got one pulled up on my phone and computer, but it's hard to keep track of every platform. So if you really want to get onto the show, like us to see your thoughts on what we're currently talking about, jump into YouTube. Make an account, become a YouTube member, 99 cents. That helps us out. And we can also see your comments and interact with you on the show. Lastly, if you're looking for more dogs content, head to jointhedogs.com, become an official Dog Pack member on the Patreon page, get access to the private Discord, play fantasy football with us, just hang out with Browns fans from all over the world. It's a great time for everybody involved. We do our giveaways. We just gave away a jersey from draft night to one of the Dog Pack members. So thank you to all our past Dog Pack members and anybody who joined that night. That was a ton of fun. So it's just a good time for everybody involved, especially as we're in the thick of the offseason now. The draft is done, free agencies, wound down for the most part, and we kind of have an idea of who's going to be on that initial voluntary mini or training camp roster, who to look forward to, the competitions and stuff we're going to be looking forward to. So you don't want to be out of the loop. You want to be in that Discord. It's a ton of fun so that's jointhedogs.com to become an official Dog Pack member. Come hang out with all of us.
You said free agency has wound down for the most part. We do have somebody to talk about for the Browns, but we'll save that till maybe later.
Okay, cool. Because
I don't really care about him that much, but we'll get you guys' opinion on it too.
Okay. So before we dive into the meat, the beans and wieners of the episode, I want to shout out the T County Browns backers. First of all, Rich over at the T County Browns backers just hooked us up with these sweet shirts, these new shirts they made. It's got the Shenanigans logo on the back, which is the local bar that they have they watch the games at, in the front of the shirt. So if you're local to T County, get yourself a shirt. I think they're like $20. They're pretty awesome. Super comfortable too. They're like not a cheap shirt. They're like a good 50-50 blend for you fashion people out there. So those are nice. We also want to shout out Rich and the T County Browns backers. They're hosting a huge event here in T County over in New Philly at Wabash Lane, Saturday, June 21st from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's going to be like a bowling event. Ralph Hawley, current Browns members there. Justin, there's a whole list of other guys.
Man, I got a whole list right here, man. We got Felix Wright, Mike Pruitt, Greg Pruitt, Travis Tucker, Anthony Griggs, Sugar Dre Donovan, and Clayton Callender.
So tons of former Browns players, current Browns player, Sugar Dre Donovan, local boxer here. He's awesome. I think he just won a belt like last weekend. Yep. So he's going to be there. You can get autographs from the players. You reserve yourself a lane. It's just going to be a good time. So come hang out. It's the T County Browns backers, Wabash Lane, Saturday, June 21st from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Come hang out with everybody. It's going to be a great time. So let's just dive in. Okay, let's get into it because I've been itching to just talk about the draft with you guys and everybody out there in Browns world since the end of the draft happened. Talk about a roller coaster. Okay, so if you guys were here for our live coverage of round one of the draft, you know there are few people maybe more disgusted with the Browns in round one than me. There's video evidence of this, okay? I was literally just having a mental breakdown for 4 straight hours after we made our pick.
The problem with doing live coverage is you don't have time to process the information. It's instant reactions, and it's out there for everybody.
Reacting to one of 7.
Right.
You know what I mean? At the time. And I'm always the guy who comes on here and preaches.
You did.
Don't overreact to the first pick. You got to grade the draft as a whole. I'm always saying don't overreact to one win or one loss. I'm always like saying we got to keep don't get too high, too low. I try to be the Kevin Stefanski of this podcast over here sometimes. And then here I was for 4 hours after we took our first pick, just negative Nancy. And I'll be the first one to admit it. I'm embarrassed, guys. I'm embarrassed.
Bro, I was dejected.
And then
I left.
Yes.
I just walked out. I didn't even say there was reasonings behind that, but also, yes, I was good.
But and then it didn't get much better with the first pick of the second round. I was dejected again. I'm like, ugh.
Well, and that one sucked because we had first of all, it was how many hours since we made the Mason Graham pick?
A lot.
We went
4 plus
the whole live, plus the
day.
entire night, plus the entire next day, waiting for this pick 33. Are they going to trade it? Are they going to do this or that or whatever? Are we going to get a receiver or all this? And it was another defensive player.
And I like this guy better score lots of touchdowns or we're screwed, But then luckily for us, it didn't take long. Only 3 picks later, we got Quinshon Judkins. And I was like, finally an offensive player. And he was like one of the players that was on my wish list.
Yes.
Okay. And I was like, that feels way better. And then we get around to the next pick and it's like Fannin. Okay. Another guy super high on the wish list. I'm like, okay, maybe the Browns have been listening. So all of a sudden I'm starting to feel better about Graham and Schweschinger. Is that how, am I saying it right? Schweschinger?
Let's call him Carson S.
Schwesh.
Right now.
Schwessinger.
And then all of a sudden I started feeling better. And then we nab, and then obviously we go QB and everybody's like shocked. So like, we're this.
Yeah.
So I was down here. Then Judkins and Fannin.
Highest of highs.
Bricked back up.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it's Gabriel. And I'm not going to say I was pissed about Gabriel, but I was almost more, I was like shocked.
Yeah.
Well, just because we had never heard anything about it.
I wasn't on the radar, which shout out, I think he's like the cardiac kid on X was way ahead of this. He was tracking Haslam's plane. He saw they were out in Eugene and stuff. So like he's called this a while ago and just nobody was paying attention. But I wasn't dejected, but I was just really surprised. Okay. I was like, wait, what? And then we nab Sampson and I'm back up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, thunder and lightning. Here we go. That backfield is great. I'm back up. And then like the shocking move of the draft is we grab Shedeur, which we're going to get into the quarterbacks. But when I say the draft was a roller coaster, my God. If we're just giving preliminary reactions, now that all the dust is settled and I see who we got, I don't care about the order. I'm just seeing the players we added to our team. I don't see how you can give this anything less than like a B plus. Myself, I'm probably inclined to give it like an A minus. But if people are upset about not addressing tackle or wide receiver and they want to keep it in that BB plus range, I'll listen to that argument. Where do you guys stand? Just general overview of how we came away from this thing. If you were going to give it a grade.
So I don't like the grade thing, but I'll do it for you. Honestly, if you would have looked at my messages like from Thursday night until Saturday afternoon, you guys would have been like, Jesus, he's lost it. He's completely
okay.
off the rails, bipolar status. We don't know. I mean, I was sending crazy messages out like, I don't know what we're doing. I'm very excited about this. I don't know what we're doing. Completely a very confusing draft. I think Blake really nailed that. At times I was just completely lost on what the direction was. But I went away from it going, we got a lot of guys, a lot of dudes that I'm excited about, a lot of guys that can be starters. Mm-hmm. I think we all kind of owe Mason Graham a huge apology.
Oh, yes.
A huge apology. Because the more I watch on him, I'm super excited about what he can bring, even in a rotation piece on that defensive line. But, man, addressing the running back room, and then Fannin, I don't know how you don't go away ecstatic. Yeah. And then on top of that, even if you didn't like the guy, you're getting Shedeur at the tail end of your draft, where I was comfortable taking him
much earlier,
as soon as possible.
Yes,
get a quarterback, please. Yeah. So and I know we'll get into that more, but that's kind of what I would say, like a B plus, just because there's so much has to play out. It's hard to say, oh, these guys are this is a home run draft. You don't know how things can go.
Ken, before you go real quick,
yeah.
I just, Matt Hughes says nabbed the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, and
Yes.
MAC Offensive Player of the Years.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Josh, we were talking about this earlier. It's like how many Big 10 SEC kids did we draft? Like all of them, except for Fannin. You know what I mean?
He was all MAC. He was the
Yes.
MAC Offensive Player of the Year, which they said is the first time a tight end has ever won that award.
Yeah.
So it's just like we were begging, please go get the best players from the best conferences for once.
I want football players,
Yes.
guys that can just play the freaking game.
Let's quit with the Belichick approach where we're at like some D2 school trying to find let's just go get the biggest, fastest, strongest, best football players. And I feel like we did that. But go ahead, Josh.
Well, I was going to say that the Mason Graham apology, first of all, I think the Browns owe us an apology for hyping up. I blame them because they hyped up Travis Hunter like freaking crazy.
Apparently that wasn't for us. That was for Jacksonville.
But we kind of saw that too. We were like, we talked about that. We were like, aren't we? Aren't we kind of hyping this up? Like, is he hype? Is Barry hyping him? But go ahead.
Either way, overall, I mean, I would definitely be. I don't care about the plus and minuses stuff. I'm in the A range because I look at what they did coming away, and it was they went into the draft with a plan. They saw what they did last year on offense and the team in general, and it was ass. It was stupid. So what has worked before? Pound you with the football, just run it down your throat and play good defense. So they go out and they get the best interior defensive lineman in the draft. I mean, a top 5, he's a blue chip prospect. Yeah, no. Mason Graham, put him next to Myles Garrett. And then they get the best linebacker in the draft. I mean, the kid's a tackling machine.
Yeah.
He's all over the field.
I owe this guy an apology even more than Mason Graham. I said, love the kid, hate the pick all night. That's what my motto was. Yep. When they draft Chase, I was like, I freaking hate the Browns. What are we doing?
Yeah, I went Carson.
I went. Yeah, is that what I said? I said Chase.
Yeah,
Carson. My bad. Apologies
bro,
again, bro.
I know. More disrespect.
I owe this kid an apology.
I went and watched. I just went and watched. Obviously, it's a highlight tape, so it's all his best plays. But I went and watched it. First of all, it was long, so he had a lot of good plays. Kid, I was like, oh my God, this guy, like in the same game, like intercepting passes and blocking punts, just all over the field, and not doing it against like. Last year or 2 years ago, whatever, it would have been against Big 12 competition. He did this against a Big 10,
right?
Which makes you feel, you know what I mean? So, like to me, if JOK can come back, that's a pretty awesome core. And if JOK doesn't come back, I feel good about the guy they got to put in there.
Yeah, me too. And I think with Schweschinger, however you say it, that shocked me so much is I just was not expecting a linebacker that high.
Yeah.
Again, it was kind of like the day one pick where. Love the player, just don't understand the position necessarily. Right. But looking at the way they want to build this defense, it makes sense. And then, with Harold Fannin, I've seen so many people, well, we didn't do anything at receiver. Well, the receiver, high-end receiver options, there really weren't a ton in this draft. You could get good starters, maybe a good wide receiver 2 or 3 for your team, but you weren't going to get the high-end, this guy's going to come out here and be elite for your team. Mm-hmm. Maybe some of these guys develop into that, like a Jaden Higgins or what, you never know. But to get Harold Fannin, I've been saying this for weeks now, doing him on mock draft episodes, and I did one with Kenny talking about he could play the big slot because he's a smaller tight end. He's not going to play necessarily in line as much in the blocking role, but put him in the slot, and then he can operate out there, and that frees you up to do whatever you want with Njoku. Inline blocking, move him outside. Jerry Jeudy can move in and out. Tillman can go in and out. Like, I think it's okay.
Dude's yards like after contact and after catch are just crazy.
Yes, he had like the most yards after catch in the entire nation last year as a tight end.
Yeah.
So I think,
and the only option
was it
for real on that team.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers had like 950 some yards and best tight end, and this guy had 1,500.
Yes.
I think the craziest stat about this is Bowling Green threw for 3,000 yards, and he had 1,500 of them receiving.
At least half, if not more.
He had half of their yards receiving.
That's insane.
So teams are scheming up for him every week, going, "Hey, if we send a double team at this guy, we should be great."
Yes,
and he's still balled out.
Still
a dude.
I saw a quote from it was from a scout that said he's the closest thing to Antonio Gates I've ever seen.
I saw that. Yeah, and
like
I love
talk
that.
about, you know what I mean? Like I read that. Like turns out Antonio Gates is pretty good. Plus, if you're local here, pretty awesome to have a Canton Bulldog on the team.
Yes,
right up the road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My wife would disagree, but but she's got to understand that we've moved on.
Yeah,
we've moved on
just
to
like
bigger
we've
and
moved
better
on with
things.
Mason Graham being from Michigan.
Yes.
Hey, you play for the Browns now? I don't care where
We're
you
on board. Yep.
So it's I just think overall we talked about this. It wasn't a star draft. There was 2 stars, Travis Hunter and Cam Ward. Okay, I mean I guess Shedeur's kind of
Genty was a star.
Abdul Carter, you could throw into that. They were,
but a handful.
But a handful. But it was we said it's a starter draft. You should leave this draft with like 4 or 5 starters. And the Browns got 4, and depending on what happens in the QB room, 5 starters.
And are you
for
counting
this year.
Dillon Sampson? Because I'm telling you,
I'm counting him because him and Judkins are gonna they're gonna play a ton.
nasty.
I mean, I was looking at like his stats and his metrics and everything from this past season. I don't know how he made it to the 4th round.
I've seen that. That's like people are saying that's a crazy steal.
Yeah,
to get
I saw
him
a
in the
lot of
4th.
that.
Yep.
Couldn't believe he was
Super
there in the
shifty.
4th, and the Browns nailed that pick.
Yep.
Some people who don't understand taking Judkins above Henderson, and I was pounding the table for Henderson all offseason, but I completely get why the Browns took Judkins first.
It's how they want to play.
Exactly. And especially if they had Sampson, like now AB said he didn't necessarily go into this knowing they'd take 2, but I wanted them to take 2. Mm-hmm. I wanted them to take 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs, and they did that. And I didn't realize that like approach to the draft really hadn't been done in a long time, taking 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs. But like to me, that's what I wanted to happen, and they did it. Judkins doesn't need a running mate. He was a solo guy, a bell cow back in the SEC for 3 years before. Was it 3 years or 2 years?
2 years. I don't think enough people go back and look at his SEC seasons down at Ole Miss, because especially his freshman. The dude was like all SEC, all freshman.
Led the SEC in rushing.
Yeah, led the SEC in rushing. I mean, he was a monster.
I watched a good video where it was talking about fantasy, but he was talking about his talent, and he was saying people are sleeping on him a little bit because of splitting carries with Henderson. He said Henderson got like the fun carries. He got the swing passes and the screens and the off tackle stuff. And they used Quinshon Judkins got the gritty, grinded out carries. But don't make no mistake, Quinshon Judkins ran a 4.4 840, I believe it was, or 4.46 or something like that. He was one of the best testing running backs at the combine. I talked about that with Kenny. I was surprised at how well he tested at the combine, just in like the non-football stuff, and just like track stuff basically. This guy's a freak athlete, and he can carry the load, and now he doesn't even have to do that because he has Dillon Sampson to go with him. So I feel like the Browns completely transformed their backfield.
Yep.
Which we'll get into what that means for the future of Nick Chubb and all that stuff. We got 45 minutes to get into it, but
sure.
This episode is sponsored by Manly Bands. Guys, is your wedding band old, outdated, or just not the same taste you had when you were younger? Or hey, maybe you're about to get married, but you don't want to deal with the salespeople at the jewelry stores. Manly Bands has the best wedding bands made specifically for men. They have the classic timeless gold and white gold styles, but they also have rings made from platinum, black zirconium, tungsten, titanium, even materials like meteorite and dinosaur bone. Yes, your wedding ring could be made from a dinosaur fossil. That is a real thing. They also have different ring collections, like their Jack Daniels rings made from actual Jack Daniels whiskey barrels. They also have Lord of the Rings and DC Comics band collections. Head over to manlybands.com/dogs and take advantage of their 30% off sale with free shipping. Plus, use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out for another 10% off your order. Now, every Manly Band comes with a free silicone ring, and if you don't know your ring size, that's okay. You can order a free ring size chart from Manly Bands to make sure that you know exactly the right size before you order. And then if you get your ring and it doesn't fit just right, you can always return it or exchange it without any hassle. And I know this because I like my rings to be a little more loose, and the first band that I got was just a little too snug for the way I like to wear it, so I exchanged it, and the whole process was quick, easy, and I had my new ring in no time. And now, Manly Bands is even accessorizing men beyond just your wedding rings with their chain necklaces and chain bracelets made for men by men. And if you need groomsmen gifts or anything else, Manly Bands has you covered with their barware, whiskey glasses, flasks. They even have customized coasters and flight trays. So skip the jewelry stores, avoid the salespeople, and get a wedding band that was designed for you. Manlybands.com/dogs to get 30% off, free shipping, plus get an extra 10% off when you use code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out.
Before we keep going, I think we had a voicemail we wanted to play before we, got too deep into it.
Yep, this one's from Brad.
What's up, Browns fans? This is your boy, Brad Moneymaker. Well, the draft is come and gone. So I'll probably take the most unpopular take on the draft. I liked some of it, and then I didn't care for the quarterbacks we got. I hope I'm proven wrong, and I'll probably be the only one to die on this hill about that, but I did not care for the quarterbacks. I don't understand why we would try to trade for the future pick to maybe take quarterback next year to take 2 this year when we have so many other needs. I mean, I like the guys we got, but I just don't think it was a great move to do what we did and trade a lot of picks away that could have been depth on this team. That's all I'm going to say. Let's go Browns. Full send. I'm on a ledge. Woof, woof, woof.
I've been going at him with this ever since the draft in the Discord.
All right.
I don't understand how you can be on the ledge about an draft. I have yet to see anybody give this draft a bad grade for the Browns, not just us. Todd McShay didn't give out grades, but he said if I were giving out grades, this would be an A draft for me. Mm-hmm. Why did we take 2 quarterbacks if we got the extra pick next year? Well, one, all offseason, all we did was scream about add quarterbacks. We need as many quarterbacks. Please draft 2. We were talking about taking 1 at 2 and 1 in the 4th round. Yep. So instead we went in the 3rd round, the 4th round.
And that's the thing, and I've seen that from a lot of people and I agree 100%. If they'd been taken in opposite order, I don't think people would have that big of a deal about it. And we were preaching do the 2 quarterback route. It was take Shedeur at 2.
Sure.
Shedeur at 2, not just a quarterback, but him.
Yes.
And then take another one in the 4th round. So they take one in the 3rd round, not that far off from where we wanted it. And then they still took Shedeur. It just wasn't in the 1st. Yeah. It was in the 5th.
Yes.
It's the same result, just different draft placement.
Yes. And so I don't care about the order in which they took them. And let's be honest, quarterback's the most positional value definitely matters.
Yes.
Yeah. You're going to take a quarterback that you think has a chance to be the guy for your team over a receiver who is going to be a practice squad / special team player.
Especially with those 6th round picks that we used to move up. I don't care about those.
Exactly. And no matter, even with taking 2 quarterbacks in the 3rd and the 5th round, like I said, we still left this draft with 4 starters. You still got the best interior defensive lineman, the best linebacker, a top 3 running back in the draft, and a top 5 running back in the draft.
And one of the best tight ends.
Probably a top 1 to 3 tight end in the draft. What do you expect to be able to do in one draft? You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna fill 8 starting positions in one draft.
Nope.
What I'll say is I pounded the table all offseason for change in the quarterback room. That quarterback room last year was not good enough. was plain to see, as plain as day. The offense stunk. We only won 3 games. We created a competition now at quarterback. Whether people believe or not, there's a great chance that I don't know why everybody's just giving it to Joe Flacco. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you're talking about you've thrown 3 young guys. I mean, Kenny Pickett is still a young guy. I think you absolutely just infused some young talent into the quarterback room. I have no problem with this. Now, could they all miss? Sure. So we're in the same boat that we've been in since 99. What does it matter then? And we'll go, we're going to suck again. All right, cool. I hollered for, hey, please just make this interesting. Make this a competition. Make this team competent. And we got that.
Yeah. And I will say, so look at this just kind of came to my mind, but look at the Tennessee Titans the last couple of years. So they took Will Levis 2 years ago at the very top of the second round.
Sure.
Right. And I would argue that we took 2 quarterbacks this year that are both better prospects coming out than he was, because he had a lot of red flags in his game that, people are like, I don't know, like he doesn't really sense pressure, all this kind of stuff. Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, I think, are better than he was coming out of college, or at least better prospect for the NFL. And we got them later. So we're probably going to start both those guys this year at some point, just to kind of see what we have. And if we got something, great. If we don't, what did the Titans just do now? They just took Cam Ward number 1 overall.
Yep.
Like, we will be in a position to redo this if we have to, but at least now we got 2 shots at it.
That's another thing when I was talking about giving out the grades. Not only did you get 4 starters this year, you picked up another first rounder next year. Yeah. You picked up another first round pick next year to only move back 3 spots and still get the best defensive tackle.
Not only that, but you got one of those starters and the first round pick. Quinshon Judkins would not be possible.
Correct.
Or Carson Schweschinger wouldn't be possible
without
that trade.
You essentially traded Travis Hunter for a first round pick next year, Mason Graham and Quinshon Judkins. That's a pretty freaking good deal in my opinion.
And we still got Dylan Sampson because we only moved back like 20 spots in the 4th round.
Yeah,
with the pick swap,
the swaps,
unreal.
So it's just in take the stabs on the quarterbacks this year, especially a lot of people were panicking about Gabriel. They don't understand it. The first thing I heard was Milroe got picked and they just panicked. And everything I've heard is they had Gabriel graded higher than Milroe.
That was their dude.
We were putting Milroe on there. Well, not me. Not me. We were putting Milroe onto the Browns because of the Tommy Reese connection. They had Dillon Gabriel graded higher than Jalen Milroe. Maybe they took him a little early because Milroe went off the board, and they're like, maybe there's going to be a run of these late round quarterbacks now, and if we have them, we don't want to miss out on them, essentially.
2 things I heard was Philly was only like 2 spots after the Browns, and after we took Gabriel, they ended up trading out of the 3rd round.
Okay.
And then there was, I forget where they were, but Miami was coming up, and there was some speculation like maybe they'd be interested in putting him behind Tua.
Yeah.
Left-handed quarterback, very similar skill set.
And here's the deal is, all we said all offseason too was just do your research, put in the work, and figure out who you think your guy is. Identify your guy, and then whatever you have to do to get him, get him. And that's what they did.
Who gives a shit where you take him at?
And then,
I can remember you saying, I do not give a shit where we draft this dude at if you identify him.
Yes, I don't care.
Dude.
Yes.
And that's where the confusion came from, though, right? Because Friday night, I don't know about you guys, I was tired as hell after Thursday. I didn't sleep a whole lot, and I was like, I'm going to stay up to see this last pick. And it was Dillon Gabriel. I'm like, this is confusing. I don't understand this.
Bro.
The next morning, Mary Kay puts out an article after she talked with the Browns, and they came out and finally said, yes, we had him in for a top 30 visit on the very first day, but he came in with Shedeur and Travis and Carter. Nobody really knew he was coming in. We went out to Oregon and had a private workout and a dinner with him. We never leaked that, So they did all the work. If you watch the phone call between the Browns and Gabriel, I mean, they're like, hey, Tommy Reese told him, hey, we put all the work in for a reason. We were really hoping we would get this opportunity to pick you. And it's like, okay, they had identified him for sure.
So just get your guy, which is what they did. I forgot we got off top, so I lost my train of thought. We just went by Kenny's voicemail.
Oh, yeah, we can do that. This is from our boy, Kenny Mack.
Yo, guys, it's Kenny Mack, and I want to know what you think about the draft. Obviously, main thing for me is obviously I was disappointed when I was sitting with you guys. I really wanted Genty, but that's maybe more about me being selfish and wanting to be right than what was good for the team. When you get a guy like Mason and you drop down and get that extra capital and you turn it into Quinshawn, you turned it into Dalen Sampson. I mean, you basically got your backfield, which is kind of like a bowling ball and lightning. And I really like that. I mean, Schlesinger, again, that was another head scratcher a little bit for me, but I get the value of him being 242 pounds, having special teams ability, and being a sideline to sideline linebacker. And Fannin Jr., we know we all love him, and he's going to be a definite mismatch. But let's get into the rest of the draft, the quarterbacks. Like, super odd, because you got to remember, you got to add Kenny Pickett to this, because we traded a fifth from this year to get Kenny Pickett. The other thing is we traded three of our draft picks to get two more. So one this year, one next year. They're both fifth rounders. So we traded 179, 216, and 255. And so we get Gabriel in a fourth, and then we get Shedeur. So the oddness of that is that, Shedeur is a great value pick for what we got, but trading up for him, we actually used two assets at that time, but those two assets were got by the earlier trade. There's another 1.5, let's say, because there was 3 picks. We used 3.5 assets to get Sanders. Again, the points probably matched up. Instead of Gabriel, though, I would have had Watts. Guys, let me know what you think is going to happen with this room. What happens with Deshaun if he's ready to come back? And the biggest thing is, who are you going to buy for a jersey? I'm getting Q. I'm out, boys. Let's go Browns.
All right.
Should we do the easy stuff
first
first?
of all,
Jersey stuff first?
yeah, get. If I was picking a jersey, it'd be Judkins or Fannin.
Yep.
I'd probably go Quinshawn just with the Ohio State connection.
I think I'm going Fannin right now, man. Local
Fannin's
kid.
taken 44, which was my number in high school.
There you
so
go.
I'm probably going Fannin.
But if we talk, I don't mind him taking Dillon Gabriel over the safety because, again, of positional value and identifying your guy. What's more important is quarterback over safety. I don't mind about the assets given up to get Sanders, those throwaway picks at the back end of the draft that, Tom Brady comes around once every never.
For a guy who was kind of rated as like a first, maybe second round talent at the worst that we got in the fifth, yeah, I think that's okay.
Like everybody, like the free fall, shocked everybody. Maybe he was. I think by the time draft night got there, it was pretty much seen as like, okay, he's probably not going to go in the first. But everything I'm seeing, everybody was shocked that he didn't go in the second.
Right.
Like they thought for sure he was going to get picked in the second. Not getting picked in the second and then free falling as much as he didn't just shock us and people watching. Like, it was even surprising people inside the league.
Yeah.
Okay. So to get a talent, even if we say at a worst, what was graded as a second round talent in the fifth, why would you not take that chance?
Yeah.
So to people confused, like, why would you take Gabriel and then immediately turn around and take Shedeur? I think they thought there's no way Shedeur Sanders is still going to be there in the fifth. Okay. So Dillon Gabriel's our guy. This is who we want. We've identified him and we're picking him. And then we come around and we pick Sampson. And then you get to the fifth and it's like, well, Shedeur's still there. And we have these other people on our draft board, but they're probably not even going to make our team. Why would we not take this guy who, if he pans, this guy, he could be our franchise quarterback. And to the people who think he sucks, he doesn't suck. He might not be as good as he thinks he is, which this was hopefully some humble pie. He doesn't suck. Okay. You don't throw for 37 touchdowns and only 10 picks, win games at Colorado.
4,000 yards.
4,000 yards. Turn around 2 college football programs, essentially. And people say he didn't turn around Colorado. He went 13. Yes, he did. Yeah. They were by far the worst.
No offensive line.
And they were 1-11 the year before he got there. And they lost by an average of 30 points. Okay. So he very much turned around that program, helped turn around the program. Yeah. Okay. And he's tough. I don't know if anybody, like, the dude took shots.
Gamer, bro. He's a gamer.
He's a gamer. He took shots. He's mentally tough.
Yes.
He's physically tough. He might not have all the crazy traits, be able to run the 40 and throw the ball the whole length of the field and all that good stuff. Neither can Joe Burrow. But he knows where to go with the ball and he can get it exactly where he wants it, which is what, and I'm not calling Shedeur Joe Burrow, but I could see him being in that world if he reaches his full potential, and he fits this system perfectly. So if you're the Browns, why would you not do it?
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
And you just said humble pie too, which I think is a big thing to talk about. You know, the Browns passed him in every single round. And they even took, Tony Grossi came out after, the next day and said, well, they had Dillon, Gabriel, and higher than Milroe and Shedeur on their board. So, they chose Dillon, Gabriel over Shedeur. They were 100% fine with somebody else taking Shedeur.
Yes.
Like if Shedeur had gone the next pick, that was their choice. They were okay with not getting him. Like you said, he was still there in the 5th. They thought, well, this is way too good of value. We have to go ahead and make this move. So they did. But, the Steelers, they need a quarterback. They didn't want him. The Saints needed a quarterback. They took Tyler Shuck instead. The Giants needed a quarterback. They traded up for Jackson Dart. All these teams that needed quarterbacks did not want him. So I think there is some humbleness coming. He's got to look at this and say, okay, this is a little bit of an eye-opener for me. And he's already in Cleveland. He's already coming to work.
Yeah, he's at the gym.
Yeah.
I think people are going to be shocked at who he actually is. Can be arrogant and brash. He's the son of Deion Sanders. He probably
grew up that way.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It comes with he doesn't lack confidence, which turns out I actually, like. Now, you got to be able to nail a job interview. You know what I mean? But so there's things you got to learn. I suggest everybody to go listen to his conference call.
Yeah.
I thought he did a very good job. He answered some tough questions. They asked him some stupid questions that I thought he handled well. They asked him some tough questions that I thought he handled well. I think he's never been accused of not working hard. No. He's never been accused of being like these people say he only got to where he was because of his dad. No, he didn't. He could have coasted. He could just live off the trust fund and never do anything. He decided to try to be a quarterback, became a Division I college football quarterback, and made it to the NFL. He's not coasting. You wouldn't get drafted at all. The NFL teams don't care what your last name is. You know, if you were not,
I don't know, man.
If you were awful, if you were, there is no Bronny Jameses in the NFL.
Frank Gore Jr. went undrafted.
That's fair.
It happens.
The name, yeah.
So
not that important.
And I'm not sitting here trying to pound the table and say I think Shedeur is going to 100% be the future of our team, but I think it would have been stupid to not draft him in the 5th. If you wanted to have a panic attack because we took him at 2, fine, whatever. We took him in the 5th. If he comes in and he's some total D-bag and he won't listen, blah, 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 all you do is cut him and you're out nothing.
Or, honestly, you could probably find a legitimate trade partner. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
You're going to get something back. I think they put themselves in a nice position with these quarterbacks. Really, I do.
No, I completely agree. So do you guys want to hear my hot take on the quarterback room, which maybe it's not a hot take. Some people have already started to say it. I feel like I was really early on it.
You're pretty early. I'll give you that all day.
It makes sense now.
Yes.
I would cut Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
I would 100% cut Joe Flacco, and I know some fans will freak out if we do that.
Well, don't. Some of the reasons I think that you're going to say why you should do that, we're real big into draft capital and ties to the team, right? So they have draft capital invested in
all of them except for him,
Shedeur, and Gabriel.
And there's a potential future with all 3 young guys, not Joe.
Yes, there's no future with Joe. There's none.
So I made I kind of went through my thoughts. I made a post on social media about, because people are saying, well, what are they doing? They're just grabbing any quarterback they can. There's no plan. I said, they traded the 5th for Kenny Pickett and signed Joe Flacco before the draft because we had no quarterbacks on the roster.
Right.
And you can't go into the draft guaranteeing yourself, well, we're going to come out with the guys we want, especially if you're not taking a guy at 2. The rest of the draft, you have no control over. 2 is the only pick you have control. Yep. That's it. So if they're going to pass on a quarterback there, maybe somebody nabs Gabriel before they can get him. Somebody takes Shedeur at 3. Now who are we taking? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we've already got 2 quarterbacks we feel comfortable with. The draft plays out. Hey, we got the guy we wanted, and we still got Shedeur too. Mm-hmm. Okay, it does make somebody expendable.
This guy says, 0 doubt in my mind that Joe will win the starting job. I wouldn't even give him the opportunity.
Well, and
I would.
I'd let the best guy.
It's for what?
I know.
For what? Because if Joe Flacco comes out here and he wins the job and we win 8 or 9 games, guess what? We don't know if we need to do next year.
Draft a quarterback.
You have 3 quarterbacks on your team now that are all under 25 years old.
I think pick is 26.
26.
Sure.
One of them was a first round pick. One of them was graded as a low end first, top of the second, and then Dillon Gabriel. You have to find out if one of these is your guys.
You have to find out if any of those guys.
Yes.
They all have to get out there.
Joe Flacco he's not the future. Like I'm happy for what Joe Flacco did for us, but there's a reason. Like it didn't make sense to me that we signed him back anyways. Like even once we signed him back, I was still saying we should start Kenny Pickett. You can go back and watch past episodes. I've been saying we should start Kenny Pickett the whole time. You cannot do what the Steelers did and have a young quarterback in your room and an old quarterback who's on the way out in your room and bench the younger guy and then get to the end of the season and not know if you need a quarterback or not.
Yeah.
And then you watch them both leave, and they have, right now on their team, they have Mason Rudolph and rookie Will Howard.
Yep. I think they have some sort of sense that Aaron Rodgers is going to come there, but even that's like
And that's not
a
guaranteed.
1 year placeholder.
Yes.
Again.
You can't do that. You gave up draft capital for Kenny Pickett. You drafted Dillon Gabriel. You're clearly excited to have him. You took him in the 3rd, and then you got Shedeur, who on everybody's board was the second best quarterback in this draft. You have to figure out if one of the, like, I want to win games this year too. You know what I mean? I want to win games this year too, but you got to try to win games and still plan for your future, because unless one of these young quarterbacks is just like insane and this roster really comes together better than anybody imagines, which we're currently the longest odds to win the Super Bowl, so I don't see it happening. We're not winning the Super Bowl this year.
It's fair.
Okay.
It's fair.
So but you know what? You know where you could be pretty good if you figure out, hey, Shedeur's pretty good.
Let's go get
or
him
Dillon
a couple
Gabriel's
weapons
pretty
and,
good. Now next year let's go get
wide receiver and tackle.
Yeah, with those
Not
first 2
quarterback.
picks. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, best case scenario is you find out like one of these I don't care which one it is. I personally think that if all things are equal and everybody shows up and they reach their full potential, I think Shedeur is the best one out of all of them, and he would win the job. But I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. But best case scenario, you find out which one is your guy. They play like a Drake May situation. You're like, okay, we know Drake May's our guy, and we still got a top 5 pick. And you know what I mean? If
you trade Joe Milton for what they get, a 5th round pick.
Yeah. And you trade, and we go into next year's draft with, I'm not saying I want to lose a bunch of games this year, but if we lose them entertainingly and we get a top 5 pick next year and Jacksonville still sucks, what if we are sitting next year and we know who our quarterback is and we have 2 top 10 picks?
Yeah. Well, and you just said a second ago too, I still want to win games this year. We're all just sitting here assuming that Joe Flacco equals wins.
Yeah.
It didn't for Indianapolis last year.
Correct.
And whenever he played for us the year before, like you said, I appreciate everything he did for us, but he damn near lost us most of those games too. It was because, he would throw interceptions and turnovers, and then he'd have to come out and throw the ball for 250 yards in the 4th freaking quarter just so we could beat the Bears, and then 2 pick sixes against the Texans. There's no guarantee that Joe Flacco equals wins. So I think we need to quit thinking that way.
No,
That's fair.
I think a lot of, I mean, I don't want to bash him, but I feel
I like Joe
the
Flacco
gloss will wear off very quickly. You know what I mean?
This is like a Cleveland Browns fan's biggest dream waiting to happen, and now we're like, we don't want to see these rookies. This is everything that you've all wanted the last 40 years. You get it all right now, and we don't want anything to do with it. We want to start Joe Flacco.
That's another thing I keep seeing people will say, we got to keep Joe to mentor these younger guys. Joe Flacco's not a mentor QB. Even Aaron's saying it up here. He didn't mentor Jackson.
No, he didn't want to mentor Lamar Jackson.
Joe, as much as I like Joe Flacco, seems like a great guy. He is not there to help anybody take his job.
Professional.
And he has said that.
You know
it's
what
not
I mean?
Just us assuming. He has said that.
Yes, like I'm not going to be a dick, but I'm not going to help him get me benched.
I mean, it's just like Aaron Rodgers with Jordan Love. Like, was he there to mentor? No, he was there to freaking play quarterback
or
and
Brett
win
Favre
games.
and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, like, hey, cool, you got this. I don't care about the rookie.
I don't really
care about playing
you.
football for this team. And that's why Joe Flacco signed here. And we took 2 rookies, and now it could mean the end of him before he even gets on the field this year.
And he's just the easiest person in terms of the money wise. Like, you can cut him, and you're basically out nothing. It's like what, 1.3 million in dead cap or something crazy low.
The other 3 are on rookie deals too. Rookie quarterback deals. Also something that franchises are dreaming of. And our franchise, I don't know if anybody has looked, kind of in a little weird spot on salary cap. It depends on what day you look. Sometimes we have no money. Sometimes we're negative 700 million. Sometimes we're ahead. I don't know. But you know what I mean? We're in a tough spot a little bit on salary cap. I feel like they finagle it and they make it work, but you have 3 quarterbacks on a rookie deal.
Which is why you got to play these guys, because Gabriel, Shedeur, one of these dudes comes out this year and is like, wow, we can win freaking football games with this guy. He's a gamer. Like, he can lead the offense. He can run this, this scheme. He's Kevin on the field. This is what we want. We got the rookie contract. And it's not even a first-round rookie contract. No, it's either a third or a fifth.
Yeah, it's filthy.
I mean, that's stupid. That's like having, what the 49ers been able to do with Brock Purdy.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly, bro.
Let me see here. I was just looking at some of that. Shedeur will be traded. Like I said, I think I think some people I think are over assuming the fact that like Dillon Gabriel doesn't play a factor into this. They used the higher draft pick on him, and he was clearly their guy. He's going to be given every chance.
Absolutely.
I know. I keep seeing people ranking like the Browns depth chart, and it's Flacco, Pickett, Shedeur, Flacco, Pickett. I'm like, guys, they drafted Dillon Gabriel.
Yeah.
Do we forget about this?
Yes. Like, he's going to be given every opportunity. But like I said, Shedeur was ranked the second best quarterback in this draft by everybody. I don't know if
some people had Dart, but for the most part.
And I think it was Todd McShay said if he comes in and he puts in the work and he does everything right, he'll beat out everybody.
Todd McShay loved the Kevin Stefanski pairing.
Yes, he said like this was the best place for him to come. If he's going to go anywhere, he should come here because of Kevin Stefanski.
Yep.
And that's why I wanted him even over like a Cam Ward, just because the fit was so much better that I thought. But one thing I want to address, first of all, I don't understand hating on the guy just because he has a famous dad. But also, I keep seeing this, he's Johnny Manziel. Just because he was popular doesn't make him Johnny Manziel, guys. He couldn't be further from Johnny Manziel.
Here's what I'll say about that. Because and you guys in the chat, let me know if you think that way, if you feel that way, if you've said that or heard people say that. I get the impression people are implying more of the negative press or the media circus or all that stuff. Not that he's Johnny Manziel, but they just don't want the attention that it draws.
You mean like,
from what I'm telling is they call him Johnny because they think all he wants to do is party. He doesn't want to work. He thinks he's too good and he's not going to try. That's the sense I'm getting when people are calling him Johnny.
I understand. I get that too. And to be fair, like Shedeur's going to have to work on some things. Like I do think that you're going to have to tone down, especially if you're going to play for the Cleveland Browns in this fan base and this kind of like blue collar mentality area, this fan base. Maybe the partying videos, whether you're drinking or not, I mean, maybe just have people not take them or not post them. Or maybe don't.
What partying videos though? There's like what when
the
you got drafted?
The stuff after you got drafted.
He just got drafted.
I know.
I would
just
definitely
saying
be
people,
celebrating.
Yes, he just got drafted.
I'm saying I can understand the fan base looking at stuff like that and saying, "Ugh, here we go again, another."
The thing
he's never been in trouble, ever. No, Johnny was an alcoholic and a drug addict in college, and everybody knew it, including his coaches. Everybody knew it. He wasn't showing up to workouts with the teams he was supposed to be having workouts with. Okay? They couldn't be any more different in terms, just because
and the
they're
expectations
both,
too.
Yes.
One won a Heisman, looked completely like anything we'd ever seen
and
before.
Was taken in the first round.
And taken in the first round and expected immediately, like always, that he was going to be the franchise saver. I'm not saying that's all of us that said that, but I know there's a lot of people that were stoked that Johnny Manziel was coming to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Until they weren't. You know what I mean?
For me, and again, I'm with you. Like, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I can understand where people are coming from. We just had a very tone-deaf quarterback with how he was perceived by the fan base and didn't really seem to understand. And I think people are maybe afraid we might have to deal with that again.
This person says Shedeur doesn't drink. He says himself, so he might not even been drinking that video. He just
I said he wasn't drinking. He just
sweet water.
It's the optics, I guess, and was what I'm trying to say.
So, and again, I'm not even sitting here pounding the table. I don't care who becomes the starting quarterback. Right. Basically, as long as it's not Joe Flacco.
And I just want the Browns to be good, and I want the best for the Browns.
And what I guess the only thing I'm afraid of is the pressure to start him from like the media and the fan base and all that expectation type thing, if he's not the best guy. Well, that's the only thing I'm worried. Like if they go through camp and he's not the best guy, but they still feel like they want to start him anyway, I'm like, that's the only. I don't know that they would do that.
Here's
but
my thing is,
It's on the Browns.
if there's one thing that I'm not worried about with this front office and this coaching staff is doing anything because the fans or the media wants them to do it. They went and got Deshaun. They kept playing him even when people were saying to bench him. They don't. I feel like they don't feel pressure from anything. When's the last time?
30.
Yeah,
They're checked out.
You know what I mean? Like we don't get leaks. We don't get anything out of
the
these
fact
guys.
that they kept the Dillon
That's
Gabriel
crazy.
stuff under wraps was.
What about the
I was
pick
blown
trade?
away by that. What's that?
The 2 to 5 trade was done for what?
2
2
weeks.
weeks?
Yeah.
Not a peep.
We were
until
giving
like
away
20 minutes.
Travis Hunter jerseys.
Yeah, we were.
And he was traded 2 weeks ago.
I mean, there
Yeah.
was like rumors that the Jaguars were interested in coming up, but it was just
The same shit you see on Bleacher Report and all
but
these
not
other
for
places.
2 full weeks beforehand. That was the freaking Colorado showcase when they were out there saying, "Oh, Travis Hunter, he's
dude.
Ohtani," and all
This
that.
dude's a dude.
So it's
Crazy.
just, I just want, I would cut Joe Flacco, I'd say, or I'd ask him if we can find a trade partner, is there somewhere you prefer to go? Like, we'll do right by you.
Or, I mean, I don't have a problem with keeping him through like the first parts of camp just to drive the competition.
Yeah.
Because he's coming in here to compete. So, the
Absolutely.
younger guys are going to have to, dude, this guy's been in the league for 18, 19 years or whatever it is. Like, shit, you know?
But I'm telling these young guys, like, it doesn't matter if you're Kenny Pickett or if you're one of the 2 rookies, whoever is the best is going to play.
I just kind of pictured from the Dark Knight when the guy snaps or Joker snaps the pool stick over his knee.
Yes.
He's like, who wants to be, on my team?
I got one. I
Here you
got
go.
room
One
for
opening.
one.
I got one opening.
One opening. Yep.
That's exactly
That's what we need to do.
because that's
do
what
that way,
That's where the future is.
That thought process.
Yes.
This episode is sponsored by Butcher Box for Pets. Browns fans, it's about time the dogs offered you something for the real dogs in your life. Our furry friends aren't just pets, they're part of the family. And you wouldn't let yourself or your children eat strange meat from questionable sources, and your dog shouldn't either. Right now, head to butcherboxforpets.com/dogs or use promo code DOGS, DAWGS, to get 20% off your entire order. At ButcherBox, they believe in real ingredients. Their pet foods have been developed and certified by a vet nutritionist to contain 0 artificial flavors or preservatives. You get protein-packed formula with over 50% of the recipe comprised of third-party certified humane ButcherBox meat, plus functional ingredients like pre- and postbiotics to support your dog's vitality and digestion. And ButcherBox even removes the guesswork for you. Their custom meal plans are perfectly portioned to fit your dog's nutritional needs based on 8 factors, including age, weight, and activity level. I know my home wouldn't be the same without Odie, our 100-pound golden who thinks he's a 10-pound lap dog, and it gives us peace of mind knowing that we're giving him quality food instead of that factory processed garbage from the store. And speaking of the store, no need to add dog food to the shopping list ever again. ButcherBox delivers their high-quality food right to your door on the right feeding schedule for your dog. And you can change, modify, or pause your plan at any time. So head to butcherboxforpets.com/dogs and use promo code DOGS for 20% off your order. It's time for all of us dogs to give all of our dogs the nutrition they deserve.
And then where do you guys think, so let's talk about, do you guys think we're done adding, so we didn't address receiver and we didn't address tackle. And I know a lot of people were freaking out. I kind of like that maybe AB looked at himself and was like, so far, I'm not good at doing this. And like we talked about, it wasn't a crazy good receiver draft.
Right. The can't miss receivers. Ooh,
You know what I mean?
Many.
So maybe, do we think, is Diontae Johnson, which we haven't covered yet, is that the final move? Or do you think there's still somebody out there that they got their eye on?
Well, they did. Okay, so yesterday, this is kind of a weird thing. I had to do some research on this. They placed the unrestricted free agent tender on Elijah Moore, which I didn't even know you could do that after, he's a free agent. But this thing had not been applied to anybody since, 2022. The Chiefs did it with a couple players, but it's hardly ever used.
Okay.
So basically, Elijah Moore was going to visit the Bills yesterday. They must have felt like maybe there's a good chance he signs there or something. So they hurried up. They put this tag on him. So then if he does sign with the Bills at any point here, we get a compensatory pick next year in the draft. And then if he doesn't sign with another team, then we have exclusive negotiating rights with him, and he's on the Browns. If he doesn't sign with anybody, he's not just a free agent. He's on the Browns for 3-point-something million.
Okay.
Or maybe it's 3-point-something is the match for the tender. I don't know how that works, but either way, it's either he signs somewhere or he's coming back.
When Elijah Moore's had just even a little bit of competent quarterback play, he's played solid for us.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Diontae Johnson, if he could have his head on, and
That's the question.
You know what I mean? He's the kind of receiver that is like basically what Kevin Stefanski's looking for, like a great route runner,
elite separator.
Yeah.
The problem with Diontae Johnson
is he can't catch a cold sometimes.
If you've watched anything with Pittsburgh, like
Sure.
If we get frustrated when Browns players drop passes, that's going to be Diontae if he stays on the team.
Yes,
yeah.
But I think he'll do more good than bad if his head's on straight.
Again, that's the thing.
And you got him so cheap. And again, it's one of those things. It's low risk, high reward. If he comes in and he's a headache, he's gone before camp even starts.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like it's no skin off our nuts to bring him in, try him out, and just cut him if he doesn't have his stuff together. You got to think he knows, like, if this is it. Like, I'm not going to keep getting signed places. You know what I mean? If it goes bad again, I'm going to be gone. So I'd like to think he's going to come in and, put his best foot forward.
Yeah. The fact that he's signed in, he kind of is like the 2 already, right? I mean, would you guys feel comfortable putting
talent-wise? I would say yes.
Now the problem
wide receiver
is
target leader, probably. Yeah.
So he's been kind of a fantasy guy for me for years. He was always like a stalwart. Yep. Like I always just kind of leaned on him. Even last year when he was with Carolina, those first 4 games, guy was kind of balling a little bit. He went through a lot of stuff. I'm not going to speak on what exactly was going on, but he was kind of a huge distraction on multiple locker rooms, Baltimore, Houston, and Carolina. So, I mean, I guess if you're getting a guy who's kind of maybe got his head cleared out, maybe this is like an opportunity, and he's like, hey, maybe I can run with this. I like it because we literally were looking around and we were going, man, we whiffed it wide receiver in the draft. What are we going to do now? I know I was joking with you. I'm like, call Keenan Allen, do something. Let's look at this list. But you got a guy. Now, like you said, we'll have to see how it all plays out. Is he a distraction in the locker room? I went away from the draft going, man, we got a lot of like really good character guys. You know, like a lot of like blue collar, just go to work.
We finally didn't take... like there was we don't have to answer any questions
character
about
guy stuff. Yeah.
What did you guys think? Did you see the thing with Mason Graham? I didn't realize this when we were doing draft night, but instead of going wherever after they get picked,
he was
with Will Johnson.
He went back into the green room and sat with his teammate Will Johnson the whole night. And he didn't go till like the 3rd round or something. But he stayed with him the rest of the night.
I do want to kind of Aaron's been in here defending our quarterback, so I feel bad about this, but I do kind of want to poke fun at the zero tolerance Ravens for drafting Mike Green.
And they had to draft a potential replacement. They drafted a kicker.
Yes. Yeah. So Justin Tucker's still on their roster, right? And then they went and got Mike Green, who has some off the field issues. So they must be at 1% tolerance now.
And they're very similar off the field as Justin Tucker.
Yes. So I just think like the NFL is just nothing but hypocrites. You know what I mean? Like it's just. Harbaugh threw shade when we went and got Deshaun. He's like, I'm just happy that we as an organization have a zero tolerance policy for this kind of thing, except for with Ray Rice and our Hall of Fame kicker, and when we get to the draft and any other time that you guys haven't found out about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay.
I did want to say real quick. So Chantel, I think in the chat, I don't know who Diontae Johnson is. Former wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers was like their wide receiver 1 for 2-3 years with Ben Roethlisberger. It was like a target
dude.
And
even through crappy who was it?
Kenny Pickett.
It was Kenny Pickett, which is interesting.
Doc Hodges, those guys too, and all that kind of stuff. But so I don't know what ended up happening, but Pittsburgh shipped him off to Carolina last offseason.
Yes,
and then he played there for a few weeks. And Carolina was like, no, shipped him off to Baltimore. Baltimore said no, cut him. Houston Texans, who had like no healthy receivers, signed him, and then they said no.
Right.
So
cut him.
I don't know what's going on, but hopefully, like you said, he's got it kind of figured out.
Didn't he like have almost 1,000 yards and no touchdowns? Do you remember that? Was that with Kenny?
I think that it had to be because Kenny barely threw touchdowns in Pittsburgh.
QB1.
I think it was QB1.
There you go, bro.
I guess with the last few minutes here,
1% tolerance.
I think he was laughing at me. I'll take credit. I just kind of want to touch on the offense as a whole real quick then after like some of the additions. I think depending on how quarterback goes, like we could be interesting if Diontae Johnson's head's clear and say he's because he's not old.
He's 28.
You know what I mean? Like he's still right there.
Yep.
And technically would be in his prime if his head's on straight. And Judy comes back and has another solid season. You know, it wasn't a 1-year wonder kind of thing. And you got Njoku, and I think Njoku and Fannin are gonna be on the field a lot together.
I think they believe in Tillman.
Tillman's out there. If
healthy.
Elijah Moore's back, and then all of a sudden you got Quinshon Judkins and you got Sampson, and I don't think Nick Chubb's coming back. But I'd get rid of Pierre and I'd get rid of Ford and I'd re-sign Nick Chubb. Yes, you know what I mean?
Do you want to talk about it, bro?
Yes. Yeah. And all of a sudden, like with those pieces, if we get back to our zone blocking scheme and our line kind of rounds into form and they get back to the way they used to play before the Deshaun debacle and the Ken Dorsey offense debacle, like this offense could, in theory, be pretty good.
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and predict that will be good, but I also won't be shocked. Like if we're sitting here a couple weeks into the season, like maybe like, oh man,
running back room's real good.
Yeah. Like we're kind of good. Like we do some good things. Like we're scoring more than 14 points a game. This is weird.
Yeah. We scored more touchdowns in the last 4 games than we did all season last year. This is crazy.
One thing I wanted to bring up, and I meant to say this earlier, so I apologize. I just remembered, but you talked about we didn't address wide receiver or tackle or any offensive line in the draft. But then I saw somebody made a good point on Twitter today. I forget who it was, and I apologize for that. But they said it's interesting that Andrew Berry didn't address left tackle, but the best tackle on our roster plays right tackle, and we drafted a left-handed quarterback. Maybe they're really expecting big things out of Dillon Gabriel after the workouts and stuff for them because, I mean, Jack Conklin blocking for the blind side would be okay.
Or maybe they just are higher on DeJuan Jones.
Well, that's true. And DeJuan Jones played right tackle as well. So, I mean.
And we did address tackle in free agency.
Yeah. Lucas is a good swing tackle.
Like I feel really good about that. He was from the Commanders, right?
Yeah.
Like he's a pretty good pass blocking tackle, swing tackle to have. Way better than what we've had depth wise.
Oh, absolutely.
He's shits all over James Hudson.
and Jed Wilson,
you know what I mean?
First round pick.
So, like we talked about before we got to the draft that our free agency period might not have been flashy, but some of our depth pieces that we added were kind of sneaky good. Mm-hmm. We addressed some of those things in free agency.
Tevin Jenkins, who by all accounts, like everybody thought he was going to sign somewhere to be a starter at guard, and he signs with us to be a backup, which maybe they're bringing him in to say, hey, if Joel, Batonio retires next year, maybe we extend this guy type of thing. Mm-hmm. Seeing how it goes, but I like that signing.
So, I guess with our last 4 minutes here, where do you guys see the future of Nick Chubb? He just posted. He's been ever since we took 2 running backs. He's been posting workout videos. Like, so what do you? And I feel like AB gave the most, least hopeful answer in terms of Nick Chubb's future than he ever has when they asked him with taking 2 running backs if that meant Nick Chubb was gone or what that meant for Nick Chubb, and basically it was like, I'm not saying yes or no, but obviously the running back room is different now than it was 2 days ago. So up until now it's always been like we love Nick Chubb, we have to we'll work on something, and now it's like maybe
we won't match.
Maybe you know what I mean. He looks healthy. Mm-hmm. He jumps up. When I jump, my head doesn't touch the ceiling. So
I'm not tall.
You know what I mean? Would you? I would. Here's the thing. It's tough for me to say this, but I feel like we're at the point where we have to be realistic. And what does Nick Chubb actually give you on the field? We all love him. So I don't blame the Browns for not being like, oh, we got to give this guy money. Because you just drafted 2 young guys. It's still a business at the end of the day.
And you still have Jerome Ford.
You know what I mean?
Under contract.
And you still have Jerome Ford under contract. So I don't think he'll be back, which is sad. But what do you guys think? And if he's not back, like, do you think it's wrong of the Browns to not bring him back? Do you think they should just give him like a contract because he should be a lifetime Brown? What do you guys think?
What I want to happen is I'm okay with Pierre Strong gone. I'd be okay with Jerome Ford, and I think you could probably trade Jerome Ford like for a late round pick or something to an RB needy team, maybe over camp or something. Because I feel like Dillon Sampson can do what Jerome Ford does in his role, just a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, that's right.
Just way better. So get rid of him. I like the idea of bringing Nick Chubb back and use him in a very complementary role with Quinshon Judkins because, Judkins can be your battering ram, bell cow, type of back, but he'll wear down throughout the course of a game. You kind of need another thumper to offset him for, maybe a drive or maybe just a couple plays here and there. He's still your lead back.
Almost like how Diontae Johnson was Chubb's backup, and then
Exactly.
Kareem Hunt, you know what I mean? Like Kareem Hunt would come in and get a series, and then they wouldn't like bring Kareem in to spell. It was like, this is his series, And then they'd still bring in a third down back.
And Diontae or Dearness
both
Johnson
there now.
was
Yeah,
Jesus,
he was the
guys.
change of pace back, which is Sampson. And so I could see them. Hey, Kareem Hunt lost a step. He was a little bit older, but he was still effective in that role. Why couldn't Nick Chubb be effective in that role?
It's one of those things. You just drafted 2 running backs. Are you gonna take carries out of their hands early in the prime of their career? You know what I mean? Are you going to give Nick Chubb 10 carries, or should you give this young guy who's super
That's what I'm
fast
saying,
and
like-
explosive 10 carries?
You guys know I love Nick Chubb. I love Nick Chubb. He's my favorite football player for this organization, probably ever. He's up there like Albert Bell for me. He's legendary. He's in this. So for me, I kind of have made preparations that this is coming. We're going to be parting ways pretty soon. Like mentally and emotionally, I'm beginning to like really, really believe that. And honestly, wouldn't you want that for Nick Chubb? Don't you want Nick Chubb to get an opportunity somewhere? As long as it's not in Pittsburgh?
Yes, that's what I'm hearing too. Like does Nick? I would rather, for Nick Chubb's sake, to be able to go out and get to play.
Yeah.
And not be a 6 carry a game guy for the last 2 years.
Especially
of his
if
career
he still thinks he's got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's my thing. At this point, the guy has done a lot for this team, and don't get me wrong, it's a 2-way street. Cleveland's done a lot for him. He's done a lot for the Browns, but like, I want what's best for him, and I think honestly, his best option is to go and see if he can get with another team and still get a decent contract. We're not going to pay him anything.
No, I mean, and the thing is, I don't think anybody is.
Right, sure.
I mean, nothing crazy. I mean, he's an almost 30-year-old running back coming off 2 back-to-back season-ending injuries.
Yes,
like it's,
fair.
The market for those type of players is thin to none. I mean, really. So I've been hearing a lot of buzz about Chicago getting him in there with DeAndre Swift, because did they take a running back or not? I can't remember. They were one of the people pegged for Gentry and some of these other guys, and I can't remember if they did or not, but if they did, I don't think it was very high. I could be wrong, but
I just worry about Pittsburgh.
not after they took Caleb Johnson.
That's fair.
That's their dude now. He's going to be their main back.
Yep.
That is fair.
Him and Warren will be a good combination.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I gotta get going.
I'll see you later, bro.
So,
All right.
we go ahead and wrap this up. We're at the hour mark. This is usually when we wrap it up anyways. I feel like we hit on pretty much everything. We don't want to talk in circles, bore you guys. We appreciate everybody who's here, hanging out with us, all 104 of you here on YouTube. I'm not sure how many of you guys are listening anywhere else. I'm looking at
235 on X, 18 on Facebook, and then I don't get the numbers for TikTok.
I'm looking at this is my first TikTok experience. I have no idea what the hell's going on. There's been like little hearts going on the screen, but I have no idea what's going on.
It's funny because we never even really thought about going live on TikTok. Honestly, I didn't really even know you could. We had our 21-year-old producer in here on draft night, and he's like, "You guys ever think about going live on TikTok?" We're like, "No, but this is why it's good to get around young people."
What's the TikToks?
What is TikToks? What does that mean?
We're old, so I don't know. But anybody who's listening out there on any of the platforms, we appreciate all your guys' support. Again, don't forget about the Tuscarawas County Browns backers event in June on the 21st at Wabash Lanes from 12 to 5. Go support them. It's going to be a good time for everybody involved. Thoughts, intros on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail, join thedogs.com, become a dog pack member, play fantasy football with us. It's going to be a great time. Off-season full effect. We got our draft picks, lots to get into over the next few weeks, and as we head into rookie minicamp and all that stuff in next week. So we appreciate all you guys being here, and we'll see you guys sometime later next week.
Congratulations, Cavs.
Oh yeah,
yeah, the sweep.
Oh, yeah,
the sweep.
I'm not shutting it off yet. Real quick.
Oh,
what about that game?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it wasn't. It technically wasn't a game.
We did it. We took them behind the woodshed without DG twice.
There you go. Okay.
And what's really funny is, so I think Darius Garland started talking a little bit of shit. And
Hashtag Len Mo.
And then Coach Spo was like, "Oh, they won 2 games. They're talking shit. Who cares?" And then we came out and just stomped them. 2 games.
Bad.
Oh,
I mean, it was like
we took their will to live.
Points at one point. I was like, "Oh my god!"
I said I didn't know there was a woodshed at their arena because we took them behind it and butt effed them.
We put them down.
Yes.
That's
like
what
a
he's saying
sick
also.
dog, man.
Like it was,
I don't know about that part.
we put him to pasture. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the Cavs. But yes, go Cavs.
Yeah, go Cavs, baby.
Thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you guys later.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DOGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order, and that code can be used over and over, so you get 10% off every order you make using code DOGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. dangercoffee.com, code DOGS.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.